After World War II, most of the Eurozone tensions were either severed, burned, or reconstitutionalized. One of the said tensions were the Russians against the rest of the world. Under the heavy blindfold of European warfare, a whole new beast was writhing behind the red banner. Before we really get into the soup, let's talk about how communism took control using Captain America and the Winter Soldier as America and Russia respectively. After a few severe military fumbles, Tsar Nicholas II was ousted by the Bolsheviks, a family of communist supporters, in 1917. He and his small extended family were brutally murdered by the hand of the Bolsheviks, and a provisionary communist government set up shop. However, that was short-lived as a back-and-forth struggle between the previous monarchical powers and the now communist, or also known as socialist powers, duked it out. In the 1920s, however, the communists got the KO, and the USSR, as it would become to know, was founded by Lenin as its headpiece. Vladimir Lenin. The US had actually supported Russia at the turn of the decade as a form of being a sort of rebellious teenager to its parents, Great Britain. But by 1933, the US had condemned the party after some particularly nasty plans of instigated rebellion in Britain and France in the industrial sector. After World War II, Russia took interest in some of the toys we used against the Japanese, particularly the atomic bomb. What would result is a race and one of the nuclear persuasion. With an amassing amount of the communist arsenal, the US amped up non-wartime production, and in 1949 pumped out the development of the hydrogen bomb. Along with tensions with the threat of a nuclear war, a massive strike ripped through the US industrial sector, instigated by the Communist Party. What would result was the Taft and Hardy Act, which basically implemented that any industrial worker could not simply refuse to work or instigate strikes, or else they'd be punished by the federal government. Back in Europe, the Russians erected a wall of steel and concrete that split Berlin and almost all of Europe in half. By this point, I should also mention that our support of a democratic China had failed, and now communist China had joined in the arms race after the US assisted a rebellion in Taiwan. Along with such, some of the countries the US had assisted through the Marshall Plan's financial packages still ended up defaulting to communism, which basically had the US investing in a lost cause. After the war had split off all the connections with half the German population, America and most of Europe used the bombing planes to drop in supplies. The overall success of the project was substantial, and also inspired a civilian to help in another way. Every day, a man would ride a bike in the communist side of Germany, and would be heavily searched for smuggled items. They never found any. Later that same day, he would walk out of the same checkpoint with the same amount of smuggled items. None. So what were the guards missing? The man smuggled in bikes, and would leave them there, and the guards never caught on, and he would go on to do this hundreds of times. Though it wasn't a war, the Cold War saw a lot of passive-aggressive action through both the war in the Middle East and the Vietnam War. However, before there was either of those, there was spying. Whether it was implanted sleeper agents or U-2 planes, both sides kept eyes on one another. One infamous incident involved a U-2 spy plane being shot down deep into Soviet Russia, leading to an international finger-pointing incident. Eisenhower himself would go on to address the incident, giving Russia the verbal explicit appendage. To summarize, he said, "We know you just throwing shade and trying to play innocent." They would go on to trade a spy for a spy, because we always bring our boys home. That was our Cold War era video. As always, thank you all for watching, and stay beautiful.